So in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to crochet the granny cluster. Really simple 2-row repeated pattern. Looks great in 2 different colours, but equally can be made with just one continuous colour or with a variegated yarn. So for this tutorial I've decided to use 2 colours. You can equally use one colour, you could use one and a variegated colour, whatever you want to do. I'm going to change colours after every row because I'd like, as you see the pattern work, you'll see there's like a sort of stripe between each of the clusters of grannies. So I'm using Aran, this is Starcraft Aran. So I'm going to use a 5mm crochet hook. If you're using a DK, use the 4 or whatever hook size is recommended by the yarn label. Because I'm changing colours, I'm going to be using scissors quite often throughout, so you might want to have a pair of scissors handy as well if that's what you're doing. So I'm going to start off by making a slip knot. You can do this in whichever way you prefer. So I make a little knot, pull the yarn behind, weave my hook through, and there I have my slip knot. You do it whichever way you prefer. Now we need to make a foundation row, and our foundation row is going to be made in multiples of 2, so it's a nice easy one to remember. I'm going to make my chains up to 18, so yarn over and pull through your slip knot loop on your hook and you have 1 chain. Yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So pause the video now whilst you make your foundation chain, and I will see you in a moment. So I have my chain of 18 chains and we're going to start working in the second chain from the hook. So we don't count the one on the hook. So we have 1, 2, and we're going to work in that second chain, and in that second chain we are going to make a double crochet. That's UK terminology. In US terminology that would be single crochet. So to do that we're going to insert into the chain, yarn over, pull back through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull back through the 2 loops. I'm going to chain 1, and we're going to skip the next chain in the foundation chain and work into the next one with another double crochet. So insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops, and chain 1. Skip the next chain, into the next chain we're going in with a double crochet, and chain 1. And we're going to work all the way down our row, so skipping a chain, inserting, making our double crochet and chaining 1. Skip a chain, make a double crochet in the next one and chain 1. So work your way down the row. I'm going to change colours at the end of this row, so if you want to change colours with me, don't make your final stitch. Okay, and I'll see you at the end of the row. So I'm just coming up to my last stitch. So I've done my double crochet, chained 1, skip a chain, go into the last chain as if you're making your double crochet. You've got 2 loops on your hook, drop your blue yarn or whatever colour you're using, pick up your new colour, hook it over the end of your hook, and then pull through the 2 stitches, the 2 loops on your hook, sorry. And that means then you'll have a finished stitch, but you're ready to go with the next colour. So row 2 then is part of the 2-row repeated pattern, so rows 2 and 3 are repeated. So to start row 2 then we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then turn our work. And for this row we're going to be working into all of those 1 chain spaces that we've made going down the row. And in there we're going to work clusters. So this is where the granny cluster comes in. So to do a granny cluster we're going to do treble 3 together, or if you're in the US, double crochet 3 together. So to do that we yarn over, insert into the space, remember not the stitch, into that chain space, yarn over, pull back through, you should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 and then stop your stitch there. So we've sort of got a half of a treble there. Yarn over, insert into the same gap, yarn over, pull through. You've got 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, the first 2 there, and then leave the last 2. So you should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert into the chain space again, yarn over, pull through. You've got 5 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2. You should now have 4 loops on your hook, and you can yarn over and pull through all 4 loops to make your treble 3 together. And then to finish that off, we're going to chain 1, and that secures the cluster, also helps us to travel to the next gap. So we skip where the double crochet was, and we're going into the next gap with another treble 3 together. So yarn over, insert into the next gap, yarn over, pull through, yarn over through 2, and leave it. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2 and leave that stitch. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2, and then you've got your 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 and chain 1. So we're going to work into each of these spaces down the row. So look for the next gap, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Leave that stitch alone and start the next one. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull back through, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through the first 2. Leave that stitch alone. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, got 5 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2. You now have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 and chain 1. So we're going to make these clusters all the way down our row in the chain spaces, and I'll join you just before we get to the end. So I'm just going to work my last treble, or treble cluster, sorry, in the last space. This time I'm not going to chain 1, and I'm going to end the row by doing a treble into the top of the double crochet from the turning chains from the previous row. So a treble into that double crochet, and there you have a treble at the beginning and a treble at the end. Now if you want to change colours like I am, I'm going to cut my colour from this end, and I can sort out those later on. So I'm going to do my treble again, so yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through 2, leaving 2 loops on my hook, pick up my new colour and pull the new colour through the 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to cut this pink yarn and get that out of the way, and now I can start working with my blue yarn. So for row 3, which is the second of the repeated row patterns, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn, and we're going to be working in that very first gap there with a double crochet. So double crochet in that first one, chain 1. We're going to skip that cluster there, and we're going to work into the gap here with a double crochet. Remember, it's UK terms, you'll be doing a single crochet in US. So I'm going to work a double crochet in there, chain 1, skip the cluster, work into the gap, double crochet, skip the cluster, work into the gap, double crochet. Sorry, I forgot to mention we're chaining 1 there, didn't I? So double crochet, chain 1, skip the cluster, 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 double crochet, chain 1. So it's really quick and easy. As you can see, it's a much smaller row than the cluster row, and I quite like that sort of stripe effect that we're going to get with that. But equally, you could do this with just one colour and that would be absolutely fine. So if you need to pause the video now because you have more stitches than me, do that now and I will see you in a moment. So we've done our last double crochet, chain 1, we're going to skip the cluster as normal, and then we're going to do a double crochet in the top of the 3 chain. Now you can work into the gap between the cluster and the 3 chain, but that will give you slightly wavier edges, so if you want a smoother edge you need to work your double crochet into the top of that 3 chain, and there you have it finished. Now if you want to change colour here, before you do the final yarn over, grab your new colour and do the final yarn through with the new colour. And that's essentially how to do the cluster stitch. So rows 2 and 3 are the repeated rows, so we just start you off on row 3 again, row 2 again. So you chain 3, turn your work, and we're working into those chain spaces between the double crochets, and we're going to do treble 3 together. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through. So that's my first, my second, my third, and then finish the whole thing off and chain 1. Skip that double crochet there, working into the next chain space with trebles 3 together, 4 loops on my hook, and just work your way down that row into those spaces. Just going to speed this up a bit here so I can get to the end to show you the next row. So come to the end, and in my last stitch I'm going to work a treble, and I'm going to start my new colour into the last yarn through. I can then cut off my pink, and then the repeat of row 3, I chain 1, I turn, I work into that very first stitch with a double crochet and chain 1. Skip the cluster and working into the cluster spaces or the gaps between the clusters, you work a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. So I'm just going to work up a few more rows for you to see what it looks like, and I shall see you in a moment. So here's the pattern all worked up, and you get these sort of little diamonds in between the clusters, which I think is a really nice effect. It really pops out if you do it in a contrasting colour. Slightly different on the back to the front, but it doesn't look too bad on the back either. You know, it's sort of reversible if you wanted to do a scarf and you were worried it wasn't going to look the same on the front as the back, you should be okay there. So that's how to do the granny cluster stitch. So with the ends then you can weave in those ends as you go if you want to, or you could knot them together and not sew the ends in if you were going to put a border over the top, and you can just weave them or crochet your border over the top of the ends and then you won't have to worry about them. So that's how to do the granny cluster. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. It helps YouTube know to show it to other crocheters and helps the channel to grow so that we can keep bringing you more videos. I'll pop some more videos on the side of the screen to help you on your crochet journey, and I will see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and happy hooking!